Hello and welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. You're with your host Maria, and thanks for joining me today. Hopefully, for those of you who have children on school holiday, your holidays are going really well and you've managed to find some fun and joy and laughter in amongst the busyness and the juggle of this time. I have a really beautiful guest for you today. Her name is Jordan Asplet, and the story is, you're going to love the story because it's the journey from basically going from party scene Auckland to straight into relationship, then children, and like a complete change of lifestyle and everything, learning. And her journey of at first not knowing much, having complete faith in the medical system to support her on her journey of having children and how to care for them, until learning and navigating along the way things that didn't work for her child and herself, and getting really brave and courageous and asking questions and learning herself, and it's just taken her on this incredible path of self-discovery, confidence, learning, growth, humility, everything. And she's now practicing homeopathy and has been doing that for the last 9 years, and she still counts herself as a beginner. Probably she's being maybe a little bit too humble there when she talks about that. She's very knowledgeable, and yeah, she's just a delight to listen to. So yeah, I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. So without any further ado, I bring to you the beautiful Jordan. Jordan, welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast.
Hey.
Oh, so lovely to see you. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I would love it if you would be able to share your journey, your entry into motherhood for us.
Sure thing. Wow. It goes back nine and a half, or probably 10 years now, my oldest. So yeah, when I think about the contrast of the journey is just polar opposites, the polarity, the everything. I was 24. I had just met my man. I had come off the party scene and the Auckland vibes and got pregnant really quickly. And it was just like I just got thrown into motherhood, and I was not prepared at all for any of it. And I just kind of winged it, I've always kind of been like, oh, she'll be right, trust, it's all good. And then yeah, my pregnancy was pretty good. But my son's birth was what really changed. That was what really landed me in this world, I think. I think that's when I actually became what they say is like being born again. I got to 42 weeks, first pregnancy, and was closely monitored. And my midwife at the time was like, oh, we're going to take you in for an induction. And me being like the easy breezy, yeah, that's cool, whatever, I'll just do that. Wasn't informed. I didn't ask to be informed. I just was led through my induction, and it turned out horrific. He ingested aspirated meconium. He was stressed. His heart rate went up. I got a fever. It became an emergency cesarean. And then I found myself lying in maternity in Auckland hospital, wondering where my baby was, and he was down in NICU and just like wailing. I remember my mum like sitting in the chair, and my husband had to like choose whether to be with me or our son, and we nearly lost him a few times. It was I'm going to get upset. takes you back. Yeah, it was really scary and hard, and that was my entry into motherhood, and I felt like it was so unfair that I got that experience. But um the gifts that have come since then have been so profound and have just completely shaped the rest of my 10 years. And I'm so grateful for that little man. So he ended up staying in NICU. I didn't even get to hold him until he was like 17 days old. I pumped on demand every 3 hours while he was sitting there in NICU. I remember having to, because they ended up sending us home while he had to stay in hospital. And I remember having to put a picture on of him on the screen to get up at 3 a.m. to pump. Um, and I just saved all of his milk because he was nil by mouth for those 17 days. And then I finally got to hold him and he latched straight away. And it was like, oh, all is good, all is good. But I was so paranoid. I was just like this really scared first time mum. I was scared of bugs. I was scared of like just everyone and everything. I was very much in the system. Um, and so that was the first little nugget. And then I remember going and doing the routine checkups and going and getting the vaccinations. And at the 3 months, I got my MMR booster. And I remember asking the nurses then, oh, can he have the flu vaccination? Like he's very weak, he's compromised lungs, like it was heading into winter. I was very paranoid, and them saying, oh no, it's not for children. And that being such a blessing, because that day that I got my MMR and he got his 3 month jabs, he got really sick. He went stiff. He's like went pale. He stopped breastfeeding. It was just so scary. And I didn't know. And I actually felt like I was like falling into like this postpartum depression. Like I was at my mum's. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to formula feed. I had all this milk, but he wasn't feeding from me anymore. It was really quite a turbulent year. His whole first year was really hard. And I didn't know anything that I know now. But yeah, I know now those decisions did make him quite unwell, and I did wake up to the fact of the medical system not being what I thought it was. My blind faith in the medical system had got me to this point. And, I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming myself, but I am seeing that that was part of my wake up call, that was part of my journey to really actually even just land as a human. I feel like maybe most of my life I'd kind of just been on autopilot, just doing what I'd been told, and going with the flow, and never really asking any questions. And it um yeah, it led me to like reading some books and getting my mum involved. And I remember being like, it is because it's coming up to his 6 month vaccinations. And by that point, I was like determined that I didn't want to do it. But my husband wasn't on board anymore, or on board with it at all, because he also was indoctrinated. And my nana yelling at me and being like, oh, you're an idiot, why wouldn't you do that? We've always done it. And I'm like, well, you don't know, you didn't see what I seen. And yeah, just fighting with everybody about it. And I stood my ground. It was probably the first time in my life that I'd actually stood my ground on something that I had actually really believed in and believed for our family. And yeah, the biggest um yeah, I don't even know what the word would be, but it was just a massive wake up call. And started my journey, and started actually my whole family's journey. And now, like, just skipping forward to 9 years now, everyone in my family is on the same thought about it as me. And Case gave us that blessing, to just
Mm.
wake up and trust ourselves a little bit, and trust our body's ability, and yeah, just question things. Yeah, so like I said, it was the hardest thing, but the biggest blessing that came from that. And then yeah, so and then my daughter came along, and she was another whole nother experience. And I got to do things differently, like I
Mhm.
got to wait, I got to choose, I got to say, no, I don't want any intervention. And I ended up going to 44 weeks with her,
Wow.
and I just have long gestation periods, and they don't always get it right. They're not by the day or by the week. And I talk to people now and I'm like, don't stress, like baby will come when baby's ready. Just like, is baby still moving around? Is there a heartbeat going on? And all of those things, so yeah, my waters got to break naturally with her. I labored at home for 4 days, and she was like this with her hand up on her chin. So when I actually did go to the hospital at 44 and 2 or 3, they did an ultrasound and seen that she was not going to be coming out the birth canal. And I was exhausted by that stage. But I made the decision to have another cesarean. But it was my choice that time. It wasn't an emergency. It was beautiful. It was all informed. I got her. They cut her out and put her straight on me. My midwife was using homeopathy on me and her, and like the doctors, I was like, no, I don't even want her weighed. I don't want vitamin K. I don't want anything. I just want my baby. And I got that. And that girl stayed attached to me for 3.5 years. So I got like the polar opposite of my first experience. So yeah, she really was my healing birth, that little girl. But they both were really in their own
Mm.
ways. Um, and yeah, that's just led me into this life that I now live, and I just couldn't be more grateful for
Mm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's surprising, not surprising, but it is a gift that how many women, myself included, mums, that have an experience with their first child, and then the second one is like that gift of, and it's often the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Um, and it is, it does feel like that healing
Yeah.
gift coming in and showing or consolidating what you know, what you feel is right. And this next little one, like, yes, you're fine. You're on the right track. Um, I love that empowerment of the mother, of the woman is so important, regardless of choices and whatever you do or don't do. But you're making it.
Yeah.
You're making that choice, and you feel empowered and equipped to know what you're saying yes to or no to, and who to seek guidance from, or all of those things, rather than very, it's this way. It is just this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, and for some people, that way is the right way for them, but it's
100%.
not. And like, not any one of us fits into every single same box. So we need to find
Yeah.
that way in those. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Wow.
definitely caused me to like have so much compassion for other people and their journeys, and like take judgment out of it all, like
Mm-hmm.
we're all just doing our best, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't know until we know. And
Yeah.
like you said, one way is good for others, and some way is good for others, and it's all okay. It's just
Yeah.
like, what is for you? What is for your family? What is for your heart?
Yeah, and that's so true, the heart, because we don't listen to that. It's this, the mind takes over, and the mind is not even our own thoughts half the time. They're other society's thoughts or whoever else's thoughts, but are they ours? We just go with the flow or not. So what does our heart say, or the gut saying? Because that's
Yeah.
where the truth lies for each of us individually. So
Yeah.
yeah, wow, that's amazing, Jordan.
Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah. It is, I think that becoming a mother, going from that maiden to mother, stepping into that portal of motherhood, it is like stepping into a whole new world, realm, everything. It's quite potent and it blindsides most of us because either you've got no idea, you're not prepared at all, or you're so super prepared and nothing happens the way you think it's gonna be.
I know. And either way, like, and you know, they say that hindsight's 2020. It is so true because you don't know what you're gonna get until you're looking back and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
that that's what the medicine was for me, you know?
Yes.
And I thought it
Yep.
was gonna be this way and it wasn't. And wow, what how it's turned out is just beautiful and incredible.
Yeah. And without your having stepping into motherhood and having your children, you wouldn't be on your current path of what you're doing now. And same with me, and same with many of us, the um, career path, if you want to call that, or just our life path. It's like you meet a crossroads. Okay, which way?
Yeah.
And yeah, making those choices. And I think becoming a mother and that mama bear fire or that instinct does kick in, and you are more willing to go that extra mile for another human that you happen to birth rather than yourself. You might sacrifice for a little bit and go with the flow, but when it's your child you think, okay, no, that's actually a no.
Yeah, and in being my first baby, and you'll know this too. Like I mean, I had never had a fight with anybody. I was
Mm.
always just like, whatever's best, whatever you think, you
Yeah.
know. And it just yeah, something in me was just like, oh hell no,
Yeah.
no, that's not it's not happening anymore like that.
Yeah. Especially when you do get that feedback from what he experienced from that 3 month appointment. His body's giving you feedback that there's
Yeah,
something's not quite right. Yeah.
yeah,
And I had the same with my daughter as well. And if you don't get that, you don't know. So then there,
it's,
there's symptoms for all different things, and some people their bodies can handle more than others, and we can't just turn a blind eye to something's presented itself, and I can't just ignore it. I have to work with this and try and
yeah.
understand it.
Well, I knew from about 15 months that there was something with my son, that there was I don't want to say there was something wrong, but I just felt like it just wasn't quite like flowing. And now I've had that experience with my daughter.
Mm,
It's the polar opposite. And I knew back then, he
yeah.
wasn't making much eye contact. There was no affection. He was all over the show. And and I do blame it on
Mm,
not only that 3 month vaccination, but the 6 weeks, the at birth, the all the antibiotics at birth, and those things that it was potentially really necessary for him to have those. But I didn't know about gut healing. I didn't know about detoxing. I didn't know about any of that sort of stuff. And then I fell into like postpartum depression until he was about 2. So then again, I kind of went down, like I came up and then I went right down again
mm,
and popped my head up around 2 and was like, whoa, whoa,
mm.
what has just happened?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really big.
Yeah.
And it's really, unfortunately, it's really common for
Mm.
many mums, whether they understand what it is they're going through or not. How did you manage that time,
Well,
those
that's what
2 years?
led me to where I am today. It was funny because I still have this very dear friend, and she was studying natural medicine and homeopathy, amongst many other things, very talented, intuitive person. And I went to see her at the in Auckland at the zoo, and I was telling her about going to the doctors and wanting to go on anti depression, like depression medication, and getting rejected by the doctors and for them to put me on meds, and feeling like I don't know what to do. And she prescribed me a remedy, and no word of a lie, I took that remedy and it was like this fog lifted, the euphoric came in, and I was able to like just be present for the first time in 2 years.
Wow.
I was blown away. I was expecting that to happen with the medication, but I never got that experience, and I'm grateful that they rejected me, because then I started looking elsewhere, and
Mm.
I had this one remedy, and I've seen a homeopath for years now, and the layers have lifted in that, but it was that one remedy that just pivoted my whole life
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I just love it when there's all these, the doctor's no opened a door. Like if they had have said yes, you would be on a different path probably
I
right
know,
now.
I know, I
It's
know,
incredible. I love it. I love
I
these.
know.
Yeah, yeah. And so from that remedy, you then, that's when your path started to veer into a different direction. And what did that look like? Where did that take you?
It looked like 4 years of healing, like really healing younger me, teenage me, adult me, like forgiving myself, healing my son and detoxing him. Yeah, it was a really beautiful journey, but yeah, I was faced with a lot of things that I had to deal with. I wasn't
Mm,
able to just shove it under the rug anymore. Homeopathy does something to the cells and the soul, and it just makes you really look at who you are, what you've been hiding from, where you've come from,
mm,
to get down to what's in your heart, and to listen to your body. And
yeah.
um and then, yeah, of course, I went on and studied it, didn't I? Because I was
Of
just
course.
blown away by how, oh, just, yeah, it's just been a massive part of my life since. And
Yeah.
yeah, I still read about it every day. I still talk about it every day. Like, I'm so
Mm,
in love with homeopathy. I just want everybody to have it in their lives, whether it's just for the little bits and bobs, or to see a homeopath, when you really need to
yeah.
see someone. It's like going to a therapist and a counselor and talking about all their stuff, all your stuff that's coming up in your mind and your head and your heart, and then going, well, take this little pill and I'll talk to you in a week. And in that week, you speak to them, you're like, oh, that stuff's not even there anymore, but this is here, and it's a new layer.
Yes. 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 Which is because I do remember seeing a homeopath. Uh, I'm just trying to remember. It would have been after having Jack, the early days. And I didn't know anything. Yeah, it was after Jack. Didn't really know much about it, little bits, but not in depth. Um, but she was a very experienced homeopath, and our consultation, I had no idea of what that what it looked like. So, oh gosh, it was about an hour and a half, I'm pretty
Mm.
sure, getting the story and all of the things, and for her to then prescribe something. But like you say, and I know why you're saying remedy, you're not saying the name of it, because it's different.
For
Someone else,
everybody.
yeah, presenting with the same symptoms, so to speak, it's still possibly a whole different remedy because of their constitution or whatever else is going on. Layers, whatever layer like you're talking about. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, it's timing. All of this has been timing for me. Had I not done this, then this wouldn't have happened. And it's the same with homeopathy. You cannot get to the deeper layers without going and sifting through the top stuff, and
Yes,
that's what each remedy then unfolds. Yeah.
yes. So would you say it's more beneficial or helpful to work with a homeopath as a regular, um, support, so you can check in and and change the remedy if need be, rather than, well, obviously you can go to the health shop and buy arnica, for example, because we know that that's how that's going to support generally. But for specific things, it's best to work with somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I have seen a homeopath for years, and first of all, it was my dear friend who supported me and my child, and then I kind of had reached a new level and I needed more support, so I've been seeing somebody else for years. Um, but my thing now, and because I've done a lot of the work, I feel like it's it's if it's sticking for too long, like if I'm in a rut for too long or
Mm.
something's too hard for too long, then I'll see a homeopath. Like my
Right.
daughter wasn't sleeping through the night for months and I was exhausted and I was like, oh, let's go to the homeopath. The next day she slept through the night, like
Mm.
I could have
Mm.
done that 2 months ago, but I probably wouldn't have appreciated the quick turnaround that it provides. But most homeopaths and even the people at the health shop just love giving information. So, you can see
Yeah.
somebody or you can just fiddle around in the dark and find what you think you need. It's all healing. It's all beautiful.
Yeah. I think when so with Jack, I had really bad mastitis. So bad that that was one of the main reasons I didn't even want to have another child, because it was awful. Anyway, I decided to have another child. And with Maya, within the first week, um, it was coming back, and I just called. I'd been seeing my homeopath before she was born, because she was also over, and I was just working with, and I got quite sick before she was born, and I just didn't want to take anything else, anything. Anyway, so had recent contact. So when I had her, and it was about she was 5 or 6 days old, and I could feel the mastitis coming on. And I just had this, I don't even know where it came out of because I'm in my fog, but I just said to my husband, you need to call um, the homeopath. She'll know what to do. And I don't know where that message came from, but he did. And she prescribed a remedy, which is not normally one that you'd associate with mastitis, but it was perfect. And it was, like you said, magic. I was like, oh my God, this is the most treasured possession. And I, yeah, I did not have the same experience as I did with Jack. And I'm sure it's because I got on top of it with a different type of support
Mm,
early on. It was just proof for me that, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that was the right, she knew me well enough and knew that was the exact right thing to give me for that time, for that experience. So incredible. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and bringing people's constitution into it is super important when you're looking at what remedies to prescribe. But then also you've got so many acute remedies that fit many different people and the same symptoms in many different people. Just like, for instance, last night I ate some chicken that was in the oven and it had been overnight, and it's kind of cool. I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I had it last night, cooked it last night, and ate it the night before, and then ate it the next night just before dinner because I was hungry, just chicken nibbles. Within an hour, I'm sitting on the toilet like, oh no, what did I do? So I went and grabbed some arsenicum, 200C. Within 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, 2 seconds, the burning stopped, the gurgling stopped, and I was able to just like lie on the couch and watch TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I also did like a little home course workshop that for homeopathy. So not for you know, the deep remedies, but like you say, the acute thing. So I've got my little toolkit of different belladonna, arnica, and apis, and those sorts of things. And oh my gosh, I've used them like throughout my children's childhood. That and Reiki are my two main things in my, along with other potions and stuff that I do along the way. But that there are some remedies in there that I know that's your go-to. That's
Yeah.
what I use for that. And yeah.
It's so
doesn't.
cool. And I think, we're actually working alongside the medical professions when we are able to look after our own health at home for the small things, like
Yes,
there is a time and a
absolutely.
place to go to the hospital. Absolutely.
For
100%
sure.
believe in it all, you
Yeah.
know? But I feel like clogging up the wards with little bits and pieces that we can take care of ourselves, we're doing
Yes,
ourselves and the community a service.
totally. And that's how it was not that long ago, really. That's how that was the way
Yeah.
that
Homeopathy was the only way. 200 years ago, there was
mm,
homeopathic hospitals everywhere. And now we don't really see it. And I remember working in the medical profession. I was doing just a receptionist at the doctor's office in Hamilton, and telling the medical staff there that I was going to study homeopathy. And one of the main doctors there was like, "Oh, cool, you can come back here and have a clinic, when you're qualified." And me being like blown away by the openness of the medical professions when you start talking to them. A lot
yeah,
of them who have been in the profession for a long time know about homeopathy, and know how potent it actually is,
yeah,
and
yeah.
safe. It's super safe. If you get it wrong, you just take a different remedy. It's
Yes.
not, you're not gonna hurt yourself majorly.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that about it too. That's so I love that story also with the doctor saying to do that. I was almost expecting you to say something else.
No,
Oh,
they were
that
all for it. It was so
man,
cool.
that's wonderful.
And the reason I did it, because I was so sad seeing people coming in time after time for the same thing, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and just little things. As far as I was concerned, like the elderly, getting an infection or a sore foot or bruise, and I was
Mm,
just so sad seeing these people coming in and paying like $45 a time, week after week. And I was like,
yeah.
I was, a user, a homeopathy user on the side, working in the medical field, like seeing what was going down. So yeah, it really pushed me into going and studying. So another blessing there.
Yeah. That's yeah, it's that empowerment all round, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
just for us mums, it's like you said, the elderly, how helpful that would be for them.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
just for them to get out of their house and get to the doctors and
I
be in
know.
that. Yeah, it's not that easy.
Just for
So,
little things, like my neighbor's recently lost her husband, and so there's so many beautiful grief remedies that you can give to people
mm,
to support them. And it's not going to take the pain away, and it's not going to take the loss away, but it does just soften your heart a little bit. When my dad
yeah,
passed away, I was just dosing up all of us on homeopathic remedies and cell salts, and just really gentle,
yeah,
loving remedies that are available at the health shop,
mm,
online.
mm,
It's everywhere. It's so cool. And many people are really open to it now too, which is cool.
yeah. That's beautiful. And to know that it's not just for the acute remedies. Well, I mean, they're all acute, like the bruising, arnica, go back to arnica. But there's also emotional support as
Yeah,
well.
it
And
takes
that,
away the
mm,
shock from the actual hit.
yes,
That can
yes,
and that's what people in contact care do. They take the shock out of the body, but also homeopathy does that. It speeds up the bruising process and
yeah,
softens the heart at a cellular level. Like, it's just so profound.
yeah. Oh, I love that. It's
Mm.
beautiful. Everyone's going to want to race out there.
Good, good, because
Yeah.
people know about homeopathy. Yeah, I mean, like arnica, at least.
Yes,
Most people know about
yes,
arnica.
yeah, they do, and belladonna, and more and more are becoming more common, or
Yeah,
in that mainstream language of oh yeah, it's when I work with mums, a lot of them will use for teething, they'll be looking for this for a homeopathic
chamomilla.
remedy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So um, it's just people knowing one that it's there, what it is, and how to find it.
Yes.
How do you? Because I mean, it's great to hear that your doctors were able to. They're probably willing to promote you or talk about you.
Mm.
Whereas others maybe not. But it could be just the fact that they themselves don't know that much about it.
Exactly. I find that a lot if they've not actually had an experience where homeopathy has profoundly pivoted their lives, they're probably not going to be open to it. You know,
Mm.
watching your child, I've had many occurrences with my kids getting, like my son getting a goose egg bump on his head when we are at Mitre 10, and the staff being like, do we need to call an ambulance? And I was like, oh, maybe, but I was dosing an Arnica 200C. Within about 4 doses, it had gone down to a normal size egg, and we walked out of Mitre 10. And they were just,
Wow.
what? What?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible. But it
Yeah.
just shows it feels like magic, but it's not. I mean,
It's,
that can be anybody's experience.
yeah.
Um, hmm,
Well, the thing with homeopathy is that they, as you'll know this, Maria, they the plant or the mineral or the substance that produces the symptoms in people also cures them in a
yeah.
potentized form, because it's got none of the crude um extract of, say, belladonna. There's no actual belladonna in there. It's the potentized um remedy of it. So it's never going to produce the symptoms, but yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That aspect
Right.
of it is quite, I guess that's part of, because it's a little bit unknown, I guess it is a bit magic, isn't it? It
Mm.
works and you can't fully, science likes to dissect it and have it like an explanation exactly, but there's, you lift it up a little bit sometimes and there's,
Yeah,
yeah,
and just try it, eh? Like there is
yeah,
no harm in trying it.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
always go and get your Sudafed if it doesn't work, you know?
yeah,
Like,
this is true. This is true.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's cheap. It's so affordable for a lot of people. Most of the times it's like $15 for a bottle of a remedy, and you've got over 100 doses in there. There
yeah.
is nothing out there like that gives you that kind of confidence to just have that in your cupboard and go, oh, 200 bruises that will heal.
Yes,
15 to
yes.
$18.
Yeah, that's so true when you look at it like that. It's yeah. So if people wanted to know more about this, are you working with people or do you have somewhere that you recommend where people could find out more about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's many homeopaths online, way more experienced than me. I've only been doing homeopathy for 9 years. Um, and I am only an acute prescriber. So that means I don't really get into the constitution, although that is something I'm really passionate about and I can see a lot of because I work with my homeopath myself. My best friend's a homeopath. We're constantly talking about it, and I learn every day something. Um, so I mainly just do first aid kits for people, really cute little first aid kits for people. Um, and there's people in Auckland, there's people in Wellington, and you just go online and homeopath. There's a homeopathic registry that you can find someone. Most people do like a free little check-in to see if you'd work well together.
Yeah.
Um, and it's all available on Zoom.
Yeah.
And most people, you can pay it off as well. Homeopaths really just want to help people. And they're not in it for the money. There goes so much time, love, and effort and support when you see a homeopath. It's not just here's your
Uh,
pills, see you later.
yeah.
There's check-ins. They want to know you're doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's I can 100% vouch for that. And just you yourself saying, well, I've only been doing it for 9 years. 9 years is quite a long time. Yeah. Yeah. And I know your passion and I can see your passion and it's yeah, beautiful. It's a gift. So you do have a Facebook page, right? That
yeah.
people
So I
can
am on Facebook, and it's my name. Do you want me to say
yeah,
my name?
yeah.
It is just homeopathy, home of homeopathy,
Hmm.
holistic health and hormones is my little niche that I work with.
Beautiful. Love
Yes.
that.
And
Love
a
that.
lot of that is like I said, I do blogs, I write about my own experiences. I do personalized kits for people. A lot of families like to get kits, and they'll tell me what's going on, and I will put the specific remedies in there, so it's quite unique for each
Mm,
person. And a lot of, other natural health advice, supplements, daily
yeah,
activities, all that sort of stuff.
beautiful. And it sounds very similar to what I had when my children were really young, and I still have it, and it was such a godsend. So thank you for doing what you're doing and showing up the way that you do. And what a gift that you got to the crossroads and this is the path you took.
I know, I know. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I will put your details in the show notes for people to contact you if they want to.
thank you.
I'm sure they will. And yeah, thank you, Jordan. Oh my gosh, so
Thank
much
you.
information, so much. Well, we could probably just talk for ages, and I'd love to have you on again, and maybe we can talk more, you know,
Yeah, that'd be
homeopathic in whatever, in a certain specific way, particularly that hormone area. But before we do go, can you please tell me share with us, what do you do? What does Jordan do to keep her soul full?
Oh, what do I do to keep my soul full? Uh, I'd say it's probably what a lot of people that you interact with, they are interested in, I am interested in grounding, getting outside, going for walks. I like my Pilates. I like eating well, and trying to find a balance in life, having fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Having a laugh, just the real
yeah,
natural, normal things that that fill my cup, that really fill my cup out. I like cleaning my house. I'm a house mom, a housewife, so something
yeah,
that I love doing as well. And yeah,
yeah,
I like having a bit of a structure and a routine to my morning. It
yeah,
sets my day up quite well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. It's beautiful. And, it's so, it feels so normal for you to say, just these things because you are so in tune with yourself and your needs, and you know what you need to do or receive, or, with your homeopathic remedies, you're kept in this equilibrium of Jordan, of who you are, and you know what you need in that moment of grounding and the having fun. I love that, the laughing, just
Yeah.
a bit of silliness here and there. It's such good medicine, isn't it?
It's so good. Yes, and I'm
Yeah,
lucky enough we live by the ocean and the bush, so I am constantly in awe of how beautiful where we live is.
yeah,
The planet is just quite
yeah,
astounding. Yeah.
yeah. And to have the capacity to step back and have the lens of, wow, have that everything, like the eyes of a child, everything's sort of awe and wonder, and they have that
Yes.
reverence. And when we as adults can have that experience too, um, that's when the magic happens, and that's when you're winning.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I do. I feel so grateful for my journey, for my experience, for my life, for the future. Just
Mm.
and trusting too. I finally just got into this place. I was saying to my husband this morning, like we're in a place of money for us is fun. We don't have to like squirrel it away for security. It's like we're in this whole new level of expansion of like, what do we want? What do we need? Like, what can we do? What's the fun
Yes.
out there? Where's the experiences? And yeah, it just keeps getting better and better, really.
I love that, Jordan. It's so good. So for you and for your family and or everyone that comes into your orbit, because that's what you're giving out. So
Yeah.
I'm pleased that it's this reciprocity you're receiving, as well as I know all that you give as well. So thank you so, so much.
Well, thank
And
you. Thanks for having me. So nice to talk to you.
you too. Isn't Jordan just beautiful? She has such a joyful, fun, beautiful energy about her, and I'm sure you could feel that through that conversation. And it's even more so in real life, in person. Yeah, just her journey. I think so many of us can relate to her story and her journey, and she's so, I think maybe that's it, relatable and incredibly authentic in what she's sharing, because this is her experience, and as that has unfolded, she has navigated that path of exploration and curiosity and asking questions and learning. She's an avid learner and researcher, and here she is now after 9 years of that journey. And I guess then you can see the gifts of those first experiences. You kind of need those experiences to know, to have a contrast. And she's learnt along the way how to find the things that work for her and her family. And I think that's true of all of us. It was definitely the same for me. Really beautiful conversation. A few takeaways. Number one, mainly about homeopathic info, really. That 200 years ago, homeopathic hospitals were really common and were everywhere. I didn't know that to that level, so that's interesting, because I know how it's really gone the other way. And when she said the homeopathic remedy softens the heart at a cellular level, and it is so profound, I could really feel that. And that's the beauty, isn't it? Having remedies not just for the physical, but for the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, all of those things. Number three, until you've had an experience with homeopathy, it is hard to comprehend just how effective and profound it is. And I think that's so true. Those of you who have used homeopathics, you'll be able to vouch for this, hopefully. And if you haven't, it all sounds all a little bit. It's hard to really comprehend how it does work. And number four, the plant or the mineral or substance that produces the symptoms also what cures them, but it's done in a potentized form. She explained that quite well, that process, because that is often the question that many people have. What is it, and how does it even work? And lastly, I just loved how she mentioned that desire or that hope that we can be working alongside the medical profession, and there in homeopathy or whatever the modality is. So we're working together for the greater good of everybody. And when we as the parents, as the mothers, can be empowered and have a toolkit of our own to call on when our children have a burn or a cut or a sting or whatever it is, that we can treat those with more confidence at home, rather than, like she said, clogging up the wards and the emergency departments. And that would be, definitely win-win all around. So definitely go and have a look at Jordan's Facebook page. It's really good. She's really, like I said, authentic, very real in her sharing, and she uses herself and her family as examples of what she's doing, what she's done, which is really helpful, especially for us parents. Home of Homeopathy, Holistic Health and Hormones, with Jordan. So I'll put that in the show notes so you can have a little look. But yeah, big thank you to Jordan for her time and her sharing, and she's just beautiful. Go and check her out. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. I always appreciate your time and your gift of giving that space to come in and listen, come into this little soulful mama's world and listen in. And yeah, if you haven't already, come and join our Facebook group, the Soulful Mamas Facebook group, and have some more conversations in there. And otherwise, have a really beautiful, soul-filling day, and I will see you next time.